Hello guys, I welcome you to this Integrated Science 2023 External Candidacy. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to answer full paper, section A and section B. So if you're new to this channel, kindly subscribe and also try to comment something so that I improve my videos. Okay, so I'm going to start with our section A. So the first question is saying, the diagram shows a reproductive cell of a human being. So we have structure H and structure G. So structure H, it is called the head of the sperm. So this structure here, or the diagram itself is called the what? The sperm. Now, the part labeled H is called the what? The head. Then as for G, it is called what? The tail. So now, the question is saying, which of the following identifies the cell with a correct reason of why it is so? This is a dash. So the correct answer here, it is what? C. Male reproductive cell, because it has a part G used for swimming. Yes. So part G is called the tail, and the tail helps the sperm to swim toward the what? The uterus, or toward the fallopian tube for fertilization. Then as for question 2, what is the function of the placenta? What is the function of the placenta? So the correct answer here, it is what? A. The function of the placenta is that it allows exchange of nutrients and waste between the fetus and the mother. The function of the placenta, it allows what? Exchange of nutrients and waste between the fetus and the mother. Then as for question 3, question 3 is saying, when should a mother start taking her child to the clinic, to the child's clinic after delivery? When should a mother start taking her child to the children's clinic after delivery? So the correct answer here, it is what? C. 1 month after birth. 1 month after birth. Then as for question 4, what type of pollution is caused by factories releasing fumes? So these fumes like smokes or smoke that comes from where? From the industries. So now that one is going to cause what? Air pollution. So the correct answer here is what? A. Then as for question 5, question 5 is saying, the diagram shows a plant cell. So we have structure K, which is called the what? The cell wall. Structure L, which is called the chloroplast. Then structure M, it is called what? Cytoplasm. Then structure N, it is called what? The vacuum. Then structure I, it is called the nucleus. Then structure J, it is called what? The cell membrane. So now the question is saying, which labeled structures are also found in an animal cell? Now, mind you, on this part here, the vacuum also present in the animal cell, but in small amount. And vacuum is represented by what? By N. So now, as for A, it is saying I. Yes, of course, I is present, which is the what? The nucleus. J, which is the cell membrane, it is also present. But L, it is not present. L is not present in where? In animal cell, because it is a chloroplast. Then as for B, I is present, J is present, and N is present. So the correct answer here is going to be what? B. Then as for question 6, question 6 is saying, which of the following is the correct order of movement of mineral salts into and within the plant? So the minerals, they are going to come from where? From the soil, and enters the what? The roots. Roots in Bemba we say imishila. Yeah, like that. Then once they enter the roots is going now to do what? To direct the water and mineral salts to the what? To the stem, and finally to the leaves. So the correct answer here is going to be what? D. Then as for question 7, the following diagram shows the structure of an atom. So structure 1 is called the what? An electron. Electrons are found where? In the shells. Electrons are found where? In the shells, and they are negatively charged. Okay, then as for structure 2 is called the what? The nucleus. Structure 2 is called the nucleus, and the nucleus contains what? Two things, the protons and the neutrons. Structure 2 is called the what? The nucleus, and it contains what? Two things, the protons and the neutrons. Then as for structure 3 is called what? The shell. So the correct answer here is going to be what? C. Since 3 is the shell, then 2 is the nucleus, then 1 is what? The electron. Okay. Question 8 reads, which separation technique can be used to separate a mixture of pieces of iron and sand? So iron can be attracted to the what? To the magnet, but sand cannot be attracted to the what? To the magnet. So in this case here we can use what? Magnetism or magnetization, which is what? D. Magnetization. Where you are going to use what? A magnet. Since you know that ions can be attracted to the what? To the magnet. As the result, what is going to remain there is what? The sand. Then as for question 9. Question 9 is saying, the following diagram shows an experiment on determination of the volume of an irregular object. So at stage 1, we are having a cylinder. Inside we are having what? Water with the volume of what? 50 centimeters cube. Initially here, the water is having what? The volume of what? 50 centimeters what? Cube. Then, once they immersed what? The stone in water. Once they immersed the stone in water at stage 2, the volume increases up to, or let me say increases and reaches what? 7 centimeters cube. Then the question is saying, what is the volume of the stone? What is the volume of the stone? So volume 2, which is 7 centimeters cube, minus volume 1, which is 50 centimeters cube. Then the answer is going to give us what? 20 centimeters cube. So the correct answer here is going to be what? B. Then as for question 10, the following diagrams show experiments on the rate of expansion. So expansion is more like increasing in size. Increasing what? In size when an object is subjected to what? Heat. So of expansion due to heat of 4 different metal rods or rods, namely copper, glass, aluminium, and steel. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. At start of an experiment, now at the end of an experiment, you can see that metal 2 has increased in what? In size more than the other metals. So the question is saying, which of the numbered metal rods is that of aluminium? So the answer is going to be what? 2, which is what? B. Then as for question 11, question 11 is saying, which of the following explains the reason of air sac? Do you know air sac? They are found where? In the lungs. In the respiratory what? System of human beings. So the air sac provide the what? The site of exchange of oxygen into and carbon dioxide out of the what? The blood. So the correct answer here is going to what? C. So when you talk of the site is more like the place where now the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place. Then as for question 12, question 12 is saying, the following list is of sexual transmitted infections, STIs. We have number 1, syphilis, number 2, gonorrhea, number 3, HIV and AIDS, number 4, genital warts. Identify the numbered infection that is caused by a virus and bacteria. So what is caused by a virus here? It is what? HIV and AIDS. Then what is caused by a bacteria here? It is gonorrhea. So the correct answer here is going to be what? C, because gonorrhea is caused by what? A bacteria, which is what? Necessarily what? Gonorrhea. Okay. Then as for question 13, question 13 is saying, the following diagram shows a specific cycle in the biosphere. So we have the transpiration. So now we know that transpiration is the process by which a leaf loses what? Water through the stomata pores. So during transpiration, the leaf is going to lose what? Water through the stomata or the stomata pores. Now, as you can see here, the plant is absorbing what? Water from the ground. And during what? Condensation, you can see that the rain is dropping what? Down. As the result here, it's more like they are talking about what? Water cycle. Not carbon cycle, right? They are talking about what? Water cycle. So which means the correct answer here is going to be what? D. Okay. Then as for question 14, it is saying, the following diagram shows an experiment on a plant which had been in sunlight for some time. So we have aura. So aura was subjected to what? To the sunlight. Then as for P, they used what? A polythene what? Bag, and put it what? Sodium hydroxide. Now the function of the sodium hydroxide here is to absorb carbon dioxide. Is to absorb what? Carbon dioxide. Now, in the absence of carbon dioxide, you are going to find that photosynthesis is not going to take place there. As the result, if we take leaf P and test it for starch, we are going to find that it is going to remain what? Brown, or it is going to turn what? Brown. Then leaf Q is having what? Sodium hydroxide. Let me say sodium hydrogen carbonate. Sodium hydrogen carbonate, it is going to produce what? It is going to produce carbon dioxide. Now that carbon dioxide is going to be used for photosynthesis. As the result, Q is going to turn what? Blue-black. And also R is going to turn what? Blue-black. But as for P, is going to turn what? Brown. So the correct answer here is what? C. Then question 15. Which pair shows correctly the biological what? The biological and physical factors that affect the rate of transpiration. So now when you talk of biological factor, this biological factor, it can't be caused by human body, it can be caused by nature. For example, if you talk of humidity, the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere cannot be influenced by what? Human factor. So as the result, humidity is going to be considered to what? The biological what? Factor. But when you talk of temperature, it can be influenced by what? By human factor. So the correct answer here is going to be what? D, which is humidity and temperature. Then as for question 16, question 16 is saying the following weight equation represents a reaction between zinc and copper 2 sulfate. So now, as you can see here, we are having zinc, which is a single element, and copper 2 sulfate as a compound. Now this reaction here, it is called the single replacement, because zinc is going to displace copper in the compound, or zinc is going to take the place of what? Copper 2. Altogether, as the result, zinc sulfate is going to be formed and copper or plus copper. So identify the type of chemical reaction in the weight equation. So the correct answer here is going to be what? Single replacement, which is what? C. Then as for question 17, question 17 is saying, in an experiment, a ray of light was passed through structures shown. So we have the convex lens, biconcave lens, drop of water, and the prism. So now the question is saying, which two numbered structures both produce a visible spectrum when a ray of light passes through them? So we have 3 and what? 4. The reason why I'm saying 3 and 4. When you talk of the spectrum, like the 7 colors, if The white light passes through the what? The prism. 7 colors are going to be produced, which are going to be represented by what? By a mnemonic code what? Roy GBV. Okay? Roy GBV. Red color, orange color, and so on. Okay? So the correct answer here is going to be what? D. Even the drop of water, like the way the rainbow forms, is formed there. The way the rainbow is formed, it is formed when the ray or the white light bounces on the drops of what? Water. Okay. Then as for question 18. Question 18 is saying, the following diagram shows an electric circuit with 2 cells of equal voltage. Of 2 cells with what? Equal voltage. They are having what? Equal voltage. So we have the ammeter, which is having the what? The current of 2 amps. And we have 2 resistors connected in where? In series. So the question is saying, what will be the voltage of a single cell? What will be the voltage? What will be the voltage of the single cell? They are not talking about the total voltage of these 2 cells, but the voltage of the single cell. Remember, they are saying this voltage, they are having what? Equal voltage, which means, let's for example, if you find the voltage to be 10, which means each cell is going to have what? 5. Okay, I think you have gotten my point there. So I'm going to say current is equal to what? Voltage over what? Resistance. Now, if resistors are connected in series, what are you supposed to do? You add them. You add them. You add them. So I'm going to say 2 ohms plus 2 ohms. I'm going to get what? 4 ohms. Then here I have what? The current, which is what? 2 amps. So current, which is 2 amps, is equal to voltage over resistance, which is what? 4 ohms. So if I cross multiply here, I'm going to find that the voltage is going to be what? 8 volts. Now they were saying, what will be the voltage of a single cell? So which means I'm going to divide by what? I'm going to divide 8 volts by 2. Since here I'm having what? 2 battery cells. I'm having 2 battery cells. So I'm going to divide by what? By 2. Then the answer is going to be what? 4 volts. So the correct answer here is going to be what? B. Question 19. Question 19 is saying, a water tank is placed on the floor. The area of the water tank is contact with the floor is 3 meters squared. So 3 meters squared, that is what? The area. So the question is saying, calculate the pressure exerted on the what? On the floor. If the weight of the water tank is 4,800 newtons. So here I'm going to give you the formula. So pressure denoted by P is equal to force denoted by F over area denoted by capital A. So in this case here, our force here, it is what? 4,800 newtons divided by what? By 3 meters squared. So here I'm going to say 3 into 3, the answer is going to be 1. 3 into 4, the answer is what? 1. Remainder 1. So this one is going to be 18. 3 into 18, the answer is going to be 6. Then 3 into zeros, I'm going to get what? Zeros. So the correct answer here is going to be 1,600 newtons per meters squared, which is what? B. Okay. Then the last one for section A, it is saying, which device in communication is used to send signals? So the correct answer here is going to be D, which are what? Transmitters. Transmitters. So let's move on to section B. So section B is saying, write all the answers in the spaces provided in the answer booklet. So as for question 1 is coming from where? From the human body. From where? From the human body. So the question is saying, the following diagrams show stages 2 and 3 of labor and birth in a female human. stage 1 is not shown. Stage 1 is not shown, which means they haven't included stage 1 here. You need to imagine. Okay. So as for stage 2, we have structure U, which is called the what? The amnion. The amnion. Structure U is called what? The amnion. Then as for V, V is called the amniotic fluid. V is called what? The amniotic fluid. So now the function of the amniotic fluid is to prevent what? The mechanical shock. Okay. Then as for stage 2, we are having structure T, which is called the what? The placenta. So the placenta itself plays the role in the exchange of what? Nutrients and the gases between the mother and the what? The fetus. Then as for S, S is called what? The umbilical cord. The umbilical cord. But if you want to remember it, just say umbilical what? Umbilical cord, because you are going to use the A instead of using what? U. So it's called what? Umbilical what? Cord, but it's umbilical cord. So the function of the umbilical cord, just a passage. It's provide a passage for the transport of nutrients to the baby. Okay. Then the question, which is question A, is saying identify the parts body Roman numeral number 1, U in stage what? 2. So U is called what? Amnion. U is called amnion. Then as for Roman numeral number 2 is called, let me say, Roman numeral number 2, S is called what? The umbilical cord or umbilical what? Cord. Then as for B, question B is saying describe what happened to the cervix in stage 1 to enable birth to take place. Now, let's for example, if a female is having pregnancy, you're going to find that the cervix is going to contract in order to prevent the baby from falling down. Now, during birth, you're going to find that the cervix is going to do what? To relax. So the cervix relaxed. The cervix what? Relaxed. That is the what? The correct answer. When the cervix relaxed, you're going to find that it is going to allow the baby to pass through. Then as for question C, explain the role which were played, played by the parts labeled T and V when the fetus was growing. So as for T, I was saying this one is called what? The placenta. So the placenta was playing a role in the exchange of nutrients and waste between the mother and the fetus. The exchange of nutrients and waste between the mother and the fetus. Then as for V, V, it is called what? The amniotic fluid. So the function of the amniotic fluid is to prevent what? Mechanical shock. Then as for question D, how long does it take for birth to occur once fertilization has taken what? Place? It is what? Approximately it is 9 months. Approximately it is what? 9 months. Then as for question 2. Question 2 is coming from where? From health. So question A is saying, state 2 different types of food nutrients. State 2 different types of nutrients. So I'm going to give you a mnemonic which is going to help you to remember everything here. So I'm going to say Caliplo-Wamvilo. Caliplo-Wamvilo. So from Caliplo-Wamvilo, you can say carbohydrates if you want. Carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, water, vitamins, and also what? Lipids also. Okay. So here I'm going to choose carbohydrates and proteins. I'm saying the mnemonic is what? Caliplo-Wamvilo. Carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, water, and also you can talk of roughage. Okay. So now here I'm saying I'm going to choose carbohydrates and what? Proteins. So question B is saying what nutritional deficiency disease is associated with the following signs and symptoms. So we have Roman numeral number 1, bald legs and knocked knees. So this one is called vitamin D or calcium. Vitamin D or calcium. That is what? The nutrients. If you're lacking vitamin D and calcium, you're going to have what? The symptoms, which is bowed legs and knocked knees. Then as for Roman numeral number 2, swollen ankles. Swollen ankles, feet and the hands. This one is called what? Kwashoka. This one is called what? Kwashoka. Okay. Now, on this part E, they are saying what nutritional deficiency disease is associated with the following what? Symptoms, and let me say signs and the symptoms. So now on this part here, we are going to say, instead of saying vitamin D or calcium, we are going to say bone deformity, or leakages, bone deformity or leakages. Then as for Roman numeral number 2, swollen ankles, feet and hands, we are going to say it is what? Kwashoka. It is what? Kwashoka. Then as for C, give 2 rows of the children's clinic. So I'm going to say the first one, monitoring the growth of a child. Monitoring the growth of the child. Apart from that one, taking advice. Taking what? Nutritional advice. Taking nutritional advice. Then as for question 3. So question 3 is coming from plants and animals. Question 3 is coming from where? Plants and animals. So the question is saying the diagram shows a germinating seed on a moist on where? On the moist cotton wool. So we have the moist cotton wool. So the function of the moist cotton wool here is to provide what? The moisture to the what? To the seed or to the germinating seed. So part W, it is called what? Premium. Part W is called what? Premium. And premium usually develops into a what? Into a shoot. Then as for structure X, it is called what? Radical. Structure X is called what? Radical. Radical usually develops into what? Into roots, or into a root. Then as for Y is called the endosperm. Y is called the endosperm. So now, as for question A, is saying, what is the purpose of the moist cotton wool? So the purpose here, I'm going to say, to provide what? Moisture to the germinating seed. To provide moisture to the germinating seed. Then as for B, question B is saying, which labeled part will develop into roots, which is Roman numeral 1. So the part which is going to develop into roots is what? XC, which is the what? The radical. So in this case here, don't say radical, just say XC. Structure what? X. Then the labeled part which is going to develop into what? Shoot is going to be what? W, which is called what? Premium. Then as for C, what labeled part will respond positively to Roman numeral number 1, light. Roman numeral number 2, gravity. So you're going to find that structure X, let me say structure X is going to respond positively to gravity. Then structure W, it is going to respond positively to the light. So as for the light, or the question for Roman numeral number 1 is going to be what? W. Then as for Roman numeral number 2, it's going to be what? X. Then as for question D is saying, explain one effect of excessive application of inorganic fertilizers on the plant. So inorganic fertilizers, these are manufactured what? Fertilizers or chemical fertilizers like D compound. Now if you apply them in excess, you are going to find that the soil is going to lose what? Its fertility, or the soil is going to become what? Acidic. So it causes what? Acidic, or loss of fertility. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is question 4. So question 4 is coming from materials and energy. Materials and what? Energy. So the question is saying, the following diagram shows an experiment carried out by Elena to determine the density of an irregular solid, which is the what? The stone. So now, as you can see here, the stone was put on the beam balance. So the instrument which measures the what? The mass of an object, it is called what? The beam balance. Then the reading was, or let me say, the reading we are showing that the stone was having 50 grams. The stone was having what? 50 grams. As you can see, the way the pointer is pointing, is pointing at what? At 50. So that is what? 50 grams. When you are dealing with density, you take mass in what? In grams. So that one is not 50, but 50 what? Grams. When you talk of the what? The mass. Then the stone was immersed in the what? Eureka cane. The stone was immersed in the what? In the eureka cane containing what? Water. Then the volume of the stone was 30 centimeters cube. Now, as you can see on the diagram here, they haven't put what? Centimeters cube. But here, what you need to know here, volume should be in centimeters what? Cube. Okay. So the first question, which is question A, is saying define density. So now, when you're calculating density, what are you supposed to have? You're supposed to have what? Mass and the volume. So here I'm going to say density is mass per unit volume. Density is mass per unit volume. That is for what? Question A. Then as for question B, determine the Roman numeral number 1. Mass of the stone, surely. The mass of the stone, you can even see it on the diagram, on the beam balance. So the mass of the stone here, it is what? 50 grams. If you write 50, that's what? Wrong. If you write 50, that is what? Wrong. You need to say 50 grams. Then as for Roman numeral number 2, volume of the stone. So the volume of the stone here is what? 30 centimeters cube. But if you say 30 centimeters, which means the answer is what? Wrong. Then as for C, C is saying calculate the density of the stone. Now, since we know that the stone is having the mass of 50 grams and the volume of 30 centimeters cube, so I'm going to say density is equal to the volume, let me say the mass, which is 50 grams over the volume, which is what? 30 centimeters cube. So the 0 from 50 and the 0 from 30, they are going to cancel each other. Then we are going to mean what? 5 on top, or the 5 is going to become the numerator, then 3, the denominator. So 3 into 5, we are going to get what? 1. Remainder 2. Then 3 into 2, it can. So we are going to put a point, then add 0. So 3 into 20, we are going to get what? 6. Remainder what? 2. So at the result here, we are going to have 6, 6, 6, 6. Now, if we round off, we are going to find that the answer is going to be what? 1.7 grams per centimeters what? Cube. That is our that is what? Our density. Then as for D, D is saying explain why the stone sank to the bottom in the Eureka cane. The reason why the stone sank to the bottom in the Eureka cane, this is because it has what? High density. This is because it has high density. Then as for E, E is saying suggest a correct precaution that should be considered during the experiment. Now, as you can see here, the stone has been tied to a what? To a string. Now this string here should be made what? Thin. The string should be made what? Thin. So the correct answer here, I'm going to say the string should be made thin. Let's move on to the next one. So question 5 is coming from where? Materials and energy. So the question is saying one of the gases found in the air, in the Earth's atmosphere, is carbon dioxide. Is what? Carbon dioxide. Question A is saying what percentage by volume is carbon dioxide in the atmospheric air? So it is 0.04%. 0.04%. Then as for question B is saying state 2 properties of carbon dioxide. State 2 properties of what? Carbon dioxide. The first one, I'm going to say carbon dioxide does not support what? Burning. Carbon dioxide does not support what? Burning. Then the last one, carbon dioxide turns lime water nuclear. Carbon dioxide turn lime water nuclear. Then as for question C is saying mention 2 correct uses of carbon dioxide. The first one being is carbon dioxide is used in the process of what? Photosynthesis. So it is used in the process of what? Photosynthesis. Apart from that one, it is also used in the manufacturing of what? Fire extinguishers. Apart from that one, carbon dioxide is also used in the carbonated what? Drinks, in the manufacturing of what? Carbonated drinks. Then as for question D is saying, which other gas is found in atmospheric air and supports what? Burning. The only gas that supports burning is what? Oxygen. So the answer here is what? Oxygen. Then as for question 6. Question 6 is coming from where? From the human body. So the question is saying the following diagrams show cross sections of the three types of what? Blood vessels found in the human blood circulatory what? System. So we have I, J, and K. As for I, this one here it is called what? Artery or arteries, or we can say aorta. Then as for J is called the vein. J is called the vein. Then as for K is called the what? The capillary. So let me repeat. As for I, it is called what? The artery. Then J is called the vein. Then as for K, it is called what? The capillary. So now the question, which is question A, Roman numeral number 1 is saying, identify the blood vessel labeled J and K. So blood vessel labeled J, it is called what? The vein. Then as for K, it is called the capillary or the capillary. Yeah. Then as for Roman numeral number 2 is saying, state the feature of J that helped you identify the blood vessel in your answer in A, Roman numeral number 1. So the reason why I'm saying J is the what? J is the vein. This is because it has thin muscles, or it has thin muscles and elastic tissues. It has thin muscles and elastic what? Tissues. Then as for B is saying which label represents the blood vessel which carries blood under high pressure. It is what? I. The arteries, they carry what? Blood at high pressure. For example, the aorta. The aorta is an artery, except the pulmonary artery. Okay. Then as for Roman numeral number 2 is saying, allows exchange of gases to take place through it and nearby body tissues. So the answer here is what? K, the capillaries. The capillaries, they are found nearby what? Tissues. For example, the capillaries are found also in the lungs, where the gaseous exchange takes place. Then as for C is saying, what is the difference between blood vessels I and J in terms of functions? As for I, it carries what? Oxygenated blood. Oxygenated what? Blood. Whereas J carries what? Deoxygenated what? Blood. Then as for question 7. Question 7 is coming from where? From the environment. From the where? From the environment. So the question is saying the following diagram shows a simple illustration on a cycle in the biosphere. So we have gas A. Gas A is going where? To the animal, which is the cow. Then gas 2, it is coming from the cow, going where? To the plants. Now, as you can see here, during photosynthesis, the plants, they are going to produce what? Oxygen. So we can say, as human beings, we obtain what? Oxygen from animals. Let me say from plants, not from animals, from plants. Like the way this animal here, it is obtaining oxygen from where? From plants. So here we can say gas 1 is going to be what? Oxygen. Then as for gas 2 is going to be what? Carbon dioxide, because plants, they get carbon dioxide from us. Okay. So let me try to read the questions. So the first question, which is question A, is saying, identify the process that happens in Roman numeral number 1, plants to produce gas 1. Now we know that for gas 1 to be produced, photosynthesis should occur. So the answer here is going to be what? Photosynthesis. Then as for Roman numeral number 2 is saying, animals to produce what? Gas 2. So the answer here is going to be what? Tissue respiration, or just respiration. Then as for B is saying what cycle is being illustrated in the diagram. This one here I can say carbon, or let me say carbon stroke oxygen what cycle. Carbon stroke oxygen cycle, because on this diagram here nothing is being illustrated apart from what? Oxygen and carbon dioxide. Then as for C is saying identify the gas labeled D2 in the diagram. So gas labeled 2 in the diagram, it is called what? Carbon dioxide. Then as for D, question D is saying write a word equation for the process that occur in plants to produce gas 1, which is what? Oxygen. Now for oxygen to be produced, carbon dioxide plus water. Then say carbon dioxide should be reacted to what? To water to produce what? Glucose plus oxygen. So I'm going to say carbon dioxide plus water to produce what? Glucose plus oxygen. Then as for E is saying apart from the processes in plants and animals, which other process uses gas 1? So we know that gas 1 is oxygen. So oxygen is used in what? In combustion. Oxygen is used in where? In combustion. The process of burning something, that is what? Combustion. So as for this one here, I'm going to end here. In the next video, I'm going to continue on question what? 8. Thanks for watching.